Lex Luthor, Morgan Snicker Room. So much soul about to bust out the room. All different flavors, way more than 32. From these shoes, you can't mess with these dudes. Nike Reeboks, about Saucony. Golden Goose is on.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Soul Brothers, hosted by yours truly, Flex Luthor, and none other than Morgan Snicker Room. Today, guys, we are blessed with a beautiful guest. What's up? What's new? And how you feeling?
Hey guys, it's so awesome to be here. That was like the whitest girl intro. Hey guys.
What's
up, guys?
We love it here.
I'm
It's like home to me. Hey y'all.
Hey. I mean, in proper Boston, I should probably just say I'm wicked excited to be here.
Yeah,
so.
wicked smart. You're wicked smart.
Wicked. That's our fun little slang here that everybody I meet is always immediately like, you're from Boston. I know you're from Boston. Can't help it.
So today we've got Jennifer here. Jennifer, we've asked Jennifer several times to hop on the podcast, and what she ends up doing is sending us other guests. Which is fine. That's great. There's been some great guests for sure. Shout out Jennifer. But Jennifer, tell us a little bit about yourself and like where people can find you and kind of what you do.
Sure. So, hi everybody. I am a Saucony employee. I am their channel marketing manager. And what basically my role entails is I'm the point of contact for all marketing needs for our retail partners. So I work specifically in the lifestyle category, and hence why this is such a natural vibe to have met Morgan and Flex and admired the work that they do in their passion for this side of the industry. I'm not too fluid in performance, but I do have a lot of respect for my counterparts that work in that side of our brand, because we are one of the oldest, if not the oldest, running brand out there. A lot of people don't know that. We're over 100 years old, so we're really up there. And basically, we have just been exploding over the last year as we're moving more into the lifestyle category. And I am so lucky enough to be able to be a part of this expansion of our business and help out our retail partners and our consumers find us, whether it's online retailers or in store, and help shape what their experience is when they're becoming more aware about the brand, or just being reintroduced to the brand, because some people were really rolling with us back in the 90s, and, you know, passing it along to their kids, their grandkids now, it's their cousins, their aunties, their uncles, whoever. Like, you know, we're just really excited that everybody is just really talking about Saucony again, and being in the conversation is so amazing for us. And so that's a bit about my role. And people can find me on Instagram at It's Jennifer. And why it is that way, because I am a born and raised New England person and love my mom to death, because my mom is the one who literally, if she's shouting my name, she's like, Jennifer. So I just thought it was kind of funny to, you know, put my handle that way, just because the Boston flair. And
Yeah, we've followed each other for a while, and I'm going to be honest, when we said this before we started recording, but like I was definitely expecting a very thick Boston accent. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's watered down, but it's like, it's reasonable. It's a reasonable Boston accent.
I think it's just one of those things that, you know, when I have a large part of my family lives in Florida. So when I'm down there, they have this thick accent, but my aunt was born and raised here. So when she comes back home, her accent like just gets so muddled. Like it's just still that Southern twang to now like that Northern, like, type of thing. It's fun. Over the years, I just kind of, from a lot of speaking and just being in more professional environments, I think I just kind of learned to tone it down a bit, because it's one of those things, if I'm with my mom, like, it is super hyper fixated. Like, the expansion of my pronunciations are, they get really wild. And then
Yeah.
obviously, like, when you get upset about something, like, everybody kind of has this inner thing, so it definitely comes out more. Recently, I missed the stop on my train, and I put it in my Instagram story as like this funny thing. I'm pretty sure the conductor did not say my stop, and it was at
Yeah.
night, and the windows are nasty, and you can't see outside. Anyways, so I literally run as he's shutting the door, and I'm like, "Where are we?" Like, I got so mad. I was like, "Where are we?" He's like, "Oh, we're in so and so," and I was like, "Oh my God, no, this is not my stop." Like. So just telling
It
the
comes
story,
out.
it comes
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, for
From
sure.
time to time.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead. Let's talk about what we wore today. Flex, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I do. If I can get them open.
Let's see if Flex. We usually have a kind of like a not really a rule. Okay, all right, Flex, we good. Yeah,
So I
there
went
it
with
is.
the Saucony Gridazora 2000 Raised by Wolf collaboration. One of the first Sauconys in my collection. Because I got these. I think after I got the Brain, the End clothing collaboration. But I just
How you get
love-
those?
How did I get them? What you mean? How did I get them?
Like, where'd you get them from? Like, did you purchase them or?
Oh yeah, I got. It made it seem like you like gave them to me. Like, how'd you get those?
Oh no! Mine were given to me. I've got a pair as well that were.
Yeah,
sent to
exactly.
me.
You got yours sent after the fact, and we did an episode saying that you didn't have them.
I'm jealous.
I know. Shout out to Kyle Green, man. He said I was gonna get the next one. So yeah, he did say that though.
He did say
anyway.
that. Yep, he did.
Anyways, I am a huge fan of like wolves or wolf in general. I feel like it's my spirit animal. So when I seen these, I was like, yeah, I gotta have these. And then the cork insole, then the corn on the back. I mean, on the
Is that
bottom of the
corn?
shoe. Yes, a corn stock. I never
I'm
knew
always-
that.
Of course I did. I didn't know if you knew that. I know
yeah,
everything there's to know about
So
Saucony.
I thought you were going to say about corn.
No, I am from Indiana.
That's what I
So
thought.
this is the corn stock, and that's the brown and the green and all that. So yeah, so it's Do you know about the wolf teeth on the reflective
it's iridescent.
3M? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you know.
I had
And you know
plenty
about
of time
the
to look
blood
at 'em.
splatter.
Yep,
and-
knew about all that. I had plenty of time to look at them.
So why is there a cork insole? Do you know that part?
Because it's comfortable.
No, there's actually a reason behind it. I was
No,
trying to see
what
if
is it?
I don't know either. So these are these are the ones I wore today. Nah, these are the ones that I wore today. Great shoe though. Great shoe though.
I have
So-
to tell you guys, the more that when I got into the Wolverine brand and the company, which is the parent company of Saucony, and I started to like deep dive a little bit on Saucony, and wow, like the drooling started immediately. And
Yeah.
I remember when I saw those, I'm like, those are so gorgeous. And
Yep.
you guys had Josh on the pod, and Josh
Yeah.
like has so many archival pieces. So like it was kind of fun to go over to his desk before we moved offices and just look at all the stuff that he had there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. I want these and these and these and these. And
Yeah.
I love the Gridazora. That is such a great silhouette. It's so comfortable, but I don't know, that shoe just is so beautiful. I feel like it could go with every fit, and
Yeah.
it's just one of those great neutrals, but also the personality of the shoe really just is super expressive. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a really good shoe. I especially like it because it just arrived at my doorstep. What I wore today was a pair that actually released this year, and I kind of cheated because I didn't wear these to work today, but I threw them on kind of like after the fact. Okay, here we go. So I wore the Matrix. Yeah, I wore the Saucony Matrix. I believe this is the OG yellow colorway. Yeah, Flex, you got these?
Not yet. Not yet. Definitely.
Jennifer, you got these?
I do have those. I do.
Those are nice. I like
So
those.
two of us on this episode have this shoe. And
Do
so
you know the story behind those?
So I I really like these.
He's about to make it up. I'm ready.
I know.
Oh.
Because Jennifer, do you know?
I
Is there
do. I do. So there is
let's
a
hear it.
I can't lie.
story.
Let's hear it.
All right,
Let's hear
What's
it.
the story?
So the story is, I hope I get this correct to my Saucony team. Brian Moore was the person who designed those sneakers, and it was in 2000 that those came out. And there is, can you show me the back of the shoe?
There's Japanese. There's lettering.
Japanese lettering, and I think it was just like either him testing out something or forgot to remove it, or there's some kind of narrative behind there, but that's his, I believe that's his wife's name or initials.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yo, that's dope.
And it just like ended up going into production that way. And fun fact, I'm sure you guys might have heard this or seen this, that Ben Stiller actually wore those in Zoolander.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I was calling the
best
Zoolander
scene,
colorway for a
too.
while.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's the best scene, but I think it's hilarious. Like when they're all wearing their monochromatic like outfits and they're throwing gasoline on each other.
Yes,
and he's
that
just,
one.
like,
That is one of the
watching
best
them.
scenes. Orange
Yeah.
mocha frappuccino.
I've never seen the movie, but yeah.
It's
Oh.
okay. It's a great one.
It's okay. It's a classic.
It is a
I've
great.
never- I've
He
never
said
seen it.
he's never seen it, which is
Do
is
your homework. In
it
the
is a
words of
great
Trinidad
movie.
Dreams, do
I
your
was gonna say,
homework.
Do your homework.
Shout out to Trinidad.
And so with these like these newer Saucony models, like when I got into Saucony, it was like Shadow 6000, Grid 9000, Shadow 5000, like it was those models, and then I started seeing like the Grid Azora coming out, and it took me a little bit to kind of like hop on board because it was like I want these beautiful, suedes and leathers and stuff like that. But now I'm like fully on board. Like this is mostly a mesh upper with like I can't even tell what this material is on the front, but it's a beautiful shoe. So, yep, this is what I wore today.
Like it.
That is a great one. I'm really excited that came back after 25 years now.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Tips being the first to reintroduce that shoe before our inline came out. Yeah, so that was really
Yeah.
exciting. And then obviously you guys know, you've shown it and talked about it recently with Jordan's Color Plus company,
Plus.
Matrix. What a beautiful shoe as well.
It's incredible.
Yeah, so it's
Well-
really exciting to see like between our GRs and what our collaborations have been able to do with that model. And I think it's one of those things like until people try it on, it's not maybe something that you would necessarily like want to run to and grab that
Right.
there. But I think it's like one of those ones once you try it on, you're like, oh wow, this actually looks
Yeah.
really good and it feels really good.
I think it took seeing the cranberry pair of J-Tips of his collaboration. I think it took seeing that one first and then seeing, okay, this is like the original colorway. Like this is like, I think seeing it in that order really helped kind of solidify the model for me. Cause it's definitely like, I usually don't do like yellow and black sneakers. Like yellow isn't really a color I really gravitate towards, but like,
Dang, not
think
so
these are
much
fire.
yellow.
Yeah, it's giving like Transformer Bumblebee realness.
Yeah,
like,
right.
But
I've got several like Kill Bill and like Bruce Lee like themed shoes and stuff like that. So that's not saying I won't go to yellow and black, but yeah,
I think it's all how you style it,
For sure.
Like, you can really make anything work. If you have a really muted outfit and then you just pop those on, like Jason has this wild color of them. I believe it's like this bright orange. And if you've seen him in person from time to time, like they're on his feet and it looks so crazy because Jason's style and his fit. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Jason Faustino is our director of collab and energy at Saucony. He is a style icon on his own, and he's gonna hate me probably for like putting him on blast on that, but he really has introduced me to a lot of style, and I feel like he's definitely influenced me with my style too over the last like it's a year and a half. But yeah, he has this bright orange pair that I see him in from time to time, and it looks so good. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll feel adventurous here too, and bust out with the yellow and the black.
Yeah, Jason is a friend of the pod, of course.
We love Jason.
Jennifer, what'd you wear today?
Okay, so I knew that this question was coming, and I kind of had to go with a pair that. This is the box first that I'll show you. This is the Bodega, true to, Boston as well. So the Bodega Sauconys. This pair is my 3D Grid Hurricane. And they are pretty beat because I wear them a lot. But they are just one of the most beautiful shoes. And I feel like a lot of people just kind of didn't give this the attention that it deserves, and I feel like you can definitely still find them, but what a wild but also fun shoe, and it goes with so many things. I mean, you can even see this iridescent river logo on the side here that I absolutely love, but just the detailing on this, I think Bodega really did a beautiful job on these shoes. And this specific model I also love just as much as I love as the Grid Azure 2000. I love the 3D Grid Hurricane because I have the Claima pair of 3D Grid Hurricane that Bima did, and they're my favorite shoes to wear. Especially when I'm running for the train in the morning.
Yes. So with Bodega and even Concepts being I assume right down the street in one way or the other, is it easy to get them to do a collaboration with you guys? Especially Bodega. Bodega's, I feel is kind of pumping out some Sauconys lately. Notably oh my gosh, not that pair, but the one they did after that with the Grid Shadow.
I have them in my closet.
Yes.
Okay. Let me grab it.
Yes.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The Bodega Grid Shadow 2s, amazing shoe. I was obsessed with the campaign that they did for this. How they incorporated just this 90s free feel with people playing hacky sack and up in the woods. And I have not. They came with these sick laces that I have not put on the shoe yet, which also is giving me back to growing up in the 90s. But I believe this shoe is all vegan as well, which I love because I am a vegan myself. I'm not one of those vegans that's can't wear leather. I don't go too much. I kind of do it more for health purposes than, not that I don't appreciate the culture of it, but this shoe is an amazing shoe. The detailing on it, me double knotting it. But the detail on this shoe is really great. It's made from hemp. And you can kind of see.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's dope.
It's a beautiful. I was obsessed with that shoe when it came out last year. Absolutely obsessed with it. I've got a quick vegan question. My fiance is also vegan.
The pictures don't do it any justice. I don't see those materials. I seen that pair, and just looking it up, it doesn't look like that. You would think it's a mesh or a leather or something.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you eat honey, Jennifer?
It depends. It's once in a blue moon. I will look the other way if it's mixed. Sometimes I will enjoy honey mustard, just because, but I'm not going to put honey in my tea. I'll try to go with the agave nectar.
Monk fruit. Do you ever do the monk fruit sweetener?
I have not tried that yet, but I definitely it's on my list to get because I see that in the store all the time.
Yeah.
No,
so Caitlin will do, she'll do she stopped eating honey, but before it was only if it was locally sourced or something like that, because it helps the bees or whatever. So interesting question.
No, we need the bees, but
for sure.
No, I like the question. It's fair because it's one thing that I'm constantly talking to myself about. Do I eat this because it has honey in it, or I can't have it because it has honey in it? So It's very small chance. But Flex, to what you said, I agree that this is something that the detailing of the shoe gets overlooked. And back to your original question, Morgan, I don't know the detailing of when the relationship, because it was way before my time, began with some of these retailers. But with Bodega, I feel like we might be in our 40-something shoe with them. Like,
Yeah,
we
that
have done a
sounds-
lot.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think so. And they just keep getting better and better and
Yeah.
better. So,
So for my showcase shoe, I almost pulled out a different Bodega Saucony collab, and it was the G9 Shadow 6. It's like animal print and stuff like that on it. And it seems like the designs have definitely gone like more earthy, like I don't know how to explain it. Like, I mean, that shoe is made out of like it's hemp and like canvas and stuff like that. And the 3D Grid Hurricane is like there's like woven material on it, and the it's mesh and stuff. So they seem to kind of like be going in a new direction, but still like a fun direction. Lots of greens, purples, earth tones and stuff like that. When I've got Bodega pairs that are like bright red and like I said, the leopard print and stuff like that.
and I just saw, I felt like I was so behind in this news recently, but they closed both of their retail locations.
Did they really?
Yeah. So I
So
just
I didn't
saw
know that.
I didn't know that either. I just saw somebody was talking about the LA store, and then somebody mentioned, oh, well, are they just going to be online now? And then I'm thinking to myself, wait, what about the Boston location?
Yeah.
So online, it says that they're due to reopen a new Boston location in 2026.
Okay.
And that is wild because
Yeah.
it was such a go-to place for so many years, and it's so special to a lot of people that
Yeah.
I have this one pair of Vans that I was working in retail at Vans. I'm gonna skip around a little bit here, but it was a Vans Vault, which is now they no longer have Vans Vault. It's considered off the wall, which is kind of interesting because that's also their like tagline. But I
Yeah.
worked for Vans on the retail side for about 3.5 years, and I worked in 2 of their locations. One of them was a new concept store that actually opened up in New Hampshire. And yeah, so what my job was, I worked at 2 different ones in New Hampshire because I lived on the border of Mass and New Hampshire. And I ran down to Bodega to get this one pair before my shift started in Nashua because I wanted these shoes. And let me tell you, it is not an easy task driving all the way down to the city to go all the way back up to the sticks. Like, it is a lot of traffic. But
Yeah.
it was the Frida Kahlo pair.
You
the
don't
slip-ons.
say.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's the slip-ons.
Yes.
I've got
slip-ons.
what's that model called, Flex? You know the pair I have.
It's the
The
old
skate
school?
highs.
Skate high?
The skate high, yeah, with the Las Dos Fritas.
Yeah, that's the pair that I wanted, and I was looking for it. We was doing a TikTok sneaker battle, and I'm just like, he will
Wait, I
put out
have to
something
look
that.
these up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
they're nice.
I think
They're
it's a
nice.
skate high.
Yeah, they're nice.
Vans was doing some really cool things.
Recently,
No.
I've been saying, I was like, they've done some cool things,
Not
but
recently. No, the cool things they're doing now are like, those
yes.
are the ones. Those are the ones,
Those
right,
are-
Flex? You've
yeah,
seen them,
those
right?
Are, those are absolutely the ones. Yeah, the skate highs. Those are skate highs.
Wow. When did those come out?
Still no.
I think they all released at the same time, right? Like the
Still no. None
Oh,
in stock on my
2019.
size.
Yeah, so it must have. I think Bodega might have only just got the slip-ons.
Okay.
And yeah, they held a pair for me because my size didn't come in or something like that. So I was so excited. And I ran
Yeah.
down, and those are a pair, like, I don't wear them all the time because they're just like one of those shoes that like I really love. And I was there when they did I actually was I was there from 2018 to 2021.
Okay.
So working for Vans, and I was there through some really interesting drops, from the MoMAs to the Nightmare Before Christmas, the Simpsons, the Bowies. So a lot of really fun collab drops, and I
A
was in
Tribe Called
heaven.
Quest. That was a good one.
I was there for that and did not get a pair.
Oh,
Because some of them with the collabs, sometimes they don't always like have all the styles, and you have to go to certain stores. But
Yeah.
that was a great one, and it was kind of fun because some of these collabs, I remember like people waiting in line, and if it was my day off, I would be going to the store in the morning to go wait in line to go get
Yeah.
the shoes. So
That's crazy.
I've never been to Boston before, and that's kind of a place that I'd like to visit. One, because I like the movie National Treasure and I like history.
Really?
The two, yeah,
That's
yeah.
so,
You know,
that's so on brand for Morgan.
are you a Nicolas Cage fan?
no, I'm a history fan. I told
I
my
like Ghost
dad,
Rider.
Oh God.
I told my parents I wanted to study history in college, and my mom said, "Why don't you study something that's going to make you some money?" So now I'm a tennis coach. But anyway, but the other reason is like because I wanted to go through that secret bodega door behind the soda machine or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, that's the
Like,
one that you can't get in unless you know is that's
I think
Bodega.
I think it stays open now. It's pretty much like stays open. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was like a if you know,
I
you
don't
know.
remember. Yeah, like it's just they don't have a sign outside, so like you'd be walking down the street and it just looks like a bodega, like in the window. It's all of it's not branded items. It's like they designed the branded items, but from years of that design, like being in there, obviously, like it kind of looks looked faded.
Yeah.
But when you go in, there's somebody literally behind the counter. Like it's literally like you're going into a bodega. So it's all filled with stuff. And there's things that you could find, like they'd have like Human Made, and they'd have some different magazines and stuff. Like there's little tchotchke things that you could get, maybe like the bodega socks or a few branded things. And then it opens and then you go in and it's just this really nice curated space, but it's not that big. I've never been to the one in LA. I think that one is a lot bigger, or was a lot bigger. And so I'm interested to see what they're going to do, because I'm sure for that being such a staple, like experience for people going into the stores, I'm sure they might still continue to bring some of that element like into the new space. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah.
So, cool question for you guys, because y'all definitely way more versed than I am. Top 3 bodega collabs.
I'm gonna be honest, that Grid Shadow is up there. That Grid Shadow 2 is definitely up there.
The one that they did with Vans, and I think they had it at Complex Con like a few years back. It had the roses. Do you remember this? Is this ringing a bell?
The Vans with the roses.
It was like Vans and Bodega.
See, I thought you were just talking about
I know
Saucony collabs.
the black one or the white one?
Yes. Yeah. So I personally really love the black pair, the mid school LX.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you now. Yep,
They
I'm
did
with
a
you.
really cool. I'm pretty sure that they were at Complex Con with that, and they did some kind of really dope activation. One thing I do respect about Bodega that I love, I don't know if the relationship has continued, but they would always sponsor the Boston Art Book Fair. So they would bring like a lot of people into the space in Boston, and it's escaping me the venue's name, but it was I think it's just like a performing arts or public arts center or something of that nature. And I've been a couple of years, and you have people that are all like makers. So people that do zines, and people that do jewelry, and people that do their own printing, like publishing books and magazines and stickers and patches and pins and all this stuff. Like it gives that feeling of like early 90s like punk girl riot movement that I love so much, of when Bikini Kill and Kathleen Hanna, I don't know if you're familiar, but great documentary, Rebel Girl, and she was really known for at the shows putting out these zines. So it's just like a lot of female empowerment and feminism and just kind of like educating women out there, but also creativity and self-expression. And it's kind of like having a resurgence now. Like there are like a lot of zines coming back and working workshops, but also junk journaling is like this coercive thing that's happening right now, which I'm really into. And it's just being able to take, like, if you go on a vacation or something, right, and you have like your paper ticket or receipt or a card, or just like if you clip off your sneakers, like tags, like sometimes the stickers or whatever, like you just save all these little things, and then you're just pasting everything and putting them all into these pages of a journal. So it's just writing things. Heath Ledger's dad, I just saw a video clip. He shared his journal from when he was doing the Joker in preparation, and he basically like did like a junk journal style on the character. So he was like pasting in things and writing and all this stuff. So I'm like, it's kind of just like a fun scrapbook, but not as super,
not as like neat. That's pretty cool.
So Bodega sponsored this art book fair for years, and I think it's really essential part to the community of Boston and how much they really have impacted and supported creativity amongst, entrepreneurs and individuals and young people.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of creativity in Boston. Like, it seems like almost like a hub for like what you were talking about with just creative people, right? And I know there's a lot of like retail spaces. We've talked about like New Balances there as well, right? So I think that's really, really interesting, and that the retailers are getting involved with the community. I think that's super important.
I feel like they don't do it enough, to be honest. Like it's a very strange thing. I could literally list off. So you have Reebok, you have Puma, now you have Saucony literally in the city. You have Clark's, Hey Dude. Is Asics here? I think
Reebok
Asics
is in
has.
Boston? I never knew that.
Yeah, Reebok is in the Seaport in Boston, unless they moved their office. I think I've seen some job postings within time span for. Oh my gosh, why is it going? Is Brooks? Maybe Brooks is here. It's interesting. I mean, there could be like they could be like sectioned offices or something here, but you have a large amount of footwear here in Boston, which it feels unusual. But I think the opportunities, like I'll use Vans as another example, even though they're not here and they're a West Coast company. But they did have origination. I want to say their origination the family came from either New England or Massachusetts specifically, and moved out to the West Coast. And they helped put, I believe, $1 million into one of the skate parks, the local skate parks. Yeah. So it's really nice when you do see the brands do things like that and get involved. I think there is still a lot more opportunity, but as things are expanding and you're starting to see, I know you guys mentioned in your last podcast about a run club. You guys are like talking about running and everything. And I love to see how many brands are involved in run clubs right now and supporting local run clubs. And I think that that's like a really interesting way, but also how they do have the opportunities to pair up with retailers across the country in different capacities and maybe do like backpack drives and food drives and just that whole aspect of giving back. I continue to use Vans as an example of that because of the time that I spent working on the retail side and how much we learned and how much they communicated to us. That was probably one of, like, I do have to say, working as a retail worker, that was one of my favorite retail experiences I've ever had. And I've worked for a lot of different companies and brands and opened a lot of different stores over my years. But that was one of my most positive experiences that I had. And their whole emphasis about giving back. And Steve Van Doren does an amazing job. He's the son of what was his name? Paul Van Doren, I believe. And he passed away not that long ago, the father who started it. But in the beginning of Vans, they actually got their start from selling one shoe, like, at a time to the skateboarders. I don't know if you guys know this, but because their foot would drag, so sometimes they would just sell like one of the shoes, which was, I don't know, it's just like meeting your consumers where they're at. And I think there's a lot of brands who are kind of starting to do that now, or have been trying to do that. And I would love to know from what you guys think about being on the consumer side and not on the corporate side. So it's a non-biased opinion. How do you guys receive messaging behind brands? I know you guys mentioned in the last episode about how not every shoe is going to have a message, right? There's sometimes like releases, and I think you guys were talking about maybe Jordan brand, like there's just not always going to be a story behind every shoe, which it makes sense, like especially GRs, like there's not always going to be a pack, like it just might be a one-off colorway or whatnot. But how much does the story or the messaging influence you to purchase or to support?
For me, the messaging and the story is a lot. I mean, even the fact that like these matrices were in Zoolander, right? Like Derek Zoolander was wearing them. Like even that to me is just a fun story, because I like to use sneakers as a way to connect with people. I'm really big on like connecting with people, and not even on like a business in a business way, but like just as like human beings, and just being able to like show people like, hey, like, oh, you like my shoes? Let me show you something. Like, let me show you this scene in Zoolander. Like, it's the same. And a lot of times I don't care, but it's just like that connection that I have with that we can create with people. But at the same time, it's like the story doesn't even have to come from the shoe, but it just comes from, you know, if I've seen sometimes the messaging is like they use the shoe to tell human stories, right? Like, I'll give you an example. The colorist, New Balance, Ronnie Fieg, Kith collab, right? He used that shoe to tell the stories about 3 different people who work with colors in their job, like a florist, a florist, like somebody who creates paints or whatever, and somebody else, right? Like, even that I think is important. So with me, yeah, like storytelling doesn't even have to be like this colorway means this or this colorway is inspired by this, but like storytelling is huge in sneakers for me. And a lot of times, unless the sneaker looks really, really cool, if it doesn't have a cool story behind it, it doesn't really interest me. So for me, it's like the story interests me first, and then how the sneaker looks is like a close second.
Yeah.
That's great.
I definitely agree with that. But I definitely, when I look at a sneaker, I'm looking at how it looks. That's the first thing. The number 2 is the story. The story can change it for me. Like the Puma Suede XL that just dropped with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. The fact that there's like the story that they're telling, the pizza box packaging, like that makes me want to buy the shoe. But overall, I know I'll probably never wear that shoe. But just the fact that there's a story behind it, the story that they're telling, just the culture behind the nostalgic feeling, and then the packaging is like, I still might have to get that shoe. So like, a story can make me love a shoe that I started out hating, you know, because when I first seen it, you see pictures like, ugh. the closest thing to that I probably ever wear is the Godzilla Nike Blazer. And yeah, that probably still never wear that one. But yeah, story matters to me. Also, just kind of, it can make it relatable for everyone. It can make it feel like the community is doing this together. Because if everybody starts, talking about the story, like how J Tips did, when everybody relates to that story. Everybody continues to tell, like, oh, I remember when I was doing this, I was busy, but I love you. A lot of people relate to that. A lot of people relate to what was on remember when they fronted, that the storytelling, it makes you want, like, I gotta have that pair. Like, I have to have just a story that's telling just that one little slogan, remark, whatever you want to call it, just makes you like, I gotta have that pair just so I can take a picture and show that part and put the flower emoji. That, like, I need that pair.
Yeah.
So yeah, storage definitely important. I think now more than ever. Just how like media is like number one thing now. I mean, a YouTube video, a review, it's all huge to like selling something. So the story matters more now than ever, because like you can take a few pictures, you can make the shoe look nice, but it also takes talent behind it. I think a story can be a talent itself. Like you got to get an 80 sneaks to take a picture for it to be like, oh, I want those. But if there's already a story behind it, you can just put that shoe in front of people, and it's like, I know the story, so I love that pair already. So,
I love both of your answers, and I think it was really refreshing to hear that you guys do appreciate the story and how much that impacts, because sometimes you just wonder, like, what do the consumers really think? How much goes into it? Because I can tell you, I've been in the rooms through ideation, and I'm hearing everything that's going into putting these collaborations together. Speaking of J-Tips, I have had the luxury of working on the last 4 projects, and it's an experience that I will take with me for the rest of my life, because of how beautiful this journey has been. I came in the tail end of the Grid Azure 2000 launch. So right after they did the first activation with Joy's Flower Pot, that's where I actually met Jason in person at our old office. And I heard him on a podcast, and we just had a conversation, and I was really already into the space on my own. And I was kind of just watching this launch, because I thought to myself, well, Saucony is the closest to streetwear, and I really do love streetwear. So I wonder who's kind of leading the collaboration space. And this is coming off like what New Balance had been doing and what Joe Gradino. I can never pronounce his last name, but he was the one spearheading everything for New Balance collaborations at that time. And wow, like the work that he had done was amazing. And then I was looking kind of at what Saucony had been doing, and come to find out it was Jason over here spearheading everything. And then getting to meet J Tips and learn about J Tips, and meeting his family and his friends, and being in the space and watching him at Complex Con 2 years ago interact with the people and the supporters. And it was such an amazing experience. It still is. Like, I still get so geeked out on the things that he does. And I mean, what did you guys think about the Grid Jazz 9 video that just came out?
What do you think? Again, I'm gonna cut you off, Morgan.
That's fair.
Again, the storytelling, man. And I feel like right now, I relate more with J Tips than I do any collaborator, designer that's really in the shoes right now, just simply because of like where he's come from and where he's going. Especially when he did the No Shoes in the House, and at the end of the media, he's like, you got to start hanging out with Jason. He changing you. And I've heard that so many times when I move on to other things, or I'm talking about other things, it's kind of like, yo, bro, you changing, you trying to, you doing all this uppity talk.
You acting like different now.
Yeah. And I feel like I relate with that. So it's like when he drops something, I'm always watching. And his love for his kids, man. I love my daughter. I do everything for her. I mean, there's so many things that's tied into stuff that I put on the internet or stuff that I do at work, or it's tied into her name and stuff like that. So again, it's relatable. So again, super fan.
And I thrive by feeling, even if I'm not, I thrive by feeling like the underdog. Being a terrible student in high school. I mean, graduated with right? I was a terrible student in high school. Going to the military, doing my 5 years, getting out, going to college, getting my degree, and then I'm coaching a sport that I underperformed in my entire life, right? Like I was a JV tennis player, my entire life, and like now I'm being paid to teach that sport, and like I've got a degree, and I never thought that I've got a degree in biology, and I never thought I'd go to college. So like just the whole like especially remember who fronted, right? Like where I've felt like an underdog a lot and kind of digging myself out of a hole, and he like champions that and really is that's kind of like his ethos. Yeah, it's his ethos. So like that's why I feel like I really connect, because like I love Kith, right? Like that's no secret. I love Kith, but it's like I can't relate to like Ronnie Feig. Like I can relate to the product because it looks good, but I can skip a Kith collab. Like I have no issue skipping a Kith release, right? With J Tips, I feel like I gotta have every single pair.
You gotta have every one.
I gotta have every, like it's like I used to say this about an unnamed rapper, a now maligned rapper, who had his first album in 2004 and we no longer speak of. But I used to say that he could put out an album of just silence and I would listen to the whole thing, and then, probably twice. J Tips could put out, a thong sandal, bro, and I'm like
I'm not about
I'll have my toes out,
I gotta
bro.
have it.
And I'll have my toes out, bro. I'm not so
you
got my
tripping.
toe. You know what I'm saying? So that's that's where like my relationship with the product comes in. Like I gotta feel like if I feel like I've got a deep connection with the creator of the product, then it's like you've got a customer for life. Speaking of which, Flex, I should have told you, he's got a Discord. Are you in the Discord?
Me?
I have not.
No, Flex.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent me a his team sent me the invite to join the Discord.
Oh, okay.
But I had a bad experience with Discord and I haven't hopped on ever since. But yeah,
That's fair.
He's
That's
got
fair.
PTSD from the Discord.
yeah, I do. Yeah, it had something to do with the guy that just played it guilty. But yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
So Jennifer,
I just have to say though, if you literally listen to what both of you just said, like if you guys rewatch back or listen back to the episodes, like that right there, a sneaker resonated and made you feel a certain way and had you deep rooted express things that hold dear to you and your values and who you are as a person. That is a gift. Like
That's
to
why the
me,
stories
like
matter.
yes, just to have those conversations. I'm always telling Tips. I say this to him all the time. I'm like, you are so authentically you, and you bring the best out in certain things. You make it so relatable to people, and I think that every single release has just been a peeling of the onion, like the layer back of you guys really seeing Tips. And that last video, I even wrote in the comments, I was like, this is like a love letter to the way that Tips moves, from how he loves his kids, his family, his friends, and how he makes every single person that he meets meets feel just as important, and he values what they say. I watch him in public with people, and you would think that like he has either known them for years or like they're his boy, because the interaction, or girl, but the interaction is so special with the way that he does that with people. And I'll tie this all back to how brands are showing up and how messaging is relatable. And I think Saucony does such people could say I'm biased because I work for the brand, but I really do think it is beautiful with the intention that they put into everything they do. I have the luxury of sitting in the Boston office, which is where our product team sits, and I watch these people day in and day out just work so tirelessly, so hard, geek out over like materials and fit testing, like people running back and down the halls, like they're coming up to us, they're like, what do you guys think, like trying it on, and just the developers and the designers and the conversation there, and then how Jason just spearheads the relationship with the collaborators, but also just the general releases to then our marketing team, which is kind of amazing that we have a CMO and a VP that are women. And they're spearheading our messaging here now. We just launched our Run as One campaign. And when you think about that, you think about, run, but like, how does that affect the lifestyle category? Well, think about it. We all run as one human being, right? Within ourselves. Right. So from performance, it could just be walking, your everyday, like just maybe you're gonna go on a hike and you're not gonna wear your best kicks, like in crappy environmental conditions. So you're gonna go to your pair that's gonna give you comfort and support. It's just like having that warm and cozy blanket that you love, right? Like your go-to shoes. And then the way that maybe you're going on a first date, or maybe you have a special occasion, or maybe you just want to look, your best, like you're going to go to your everyday kick. So it's just being able to take both performance and lifestyle and fuse it into one, and show the consumer that we are here to support you in your everyday efforts. So you might not be an elite runner, and that's okay, but we do have we have a trail shoe, or we have, just a everyday activewear shoe. Sometimes I wear a few of my lifestyle shoes if I'm going to do like weight training or boxing, like at my gym. And then sometimes if I want to know if I'm doing something maybe a little bit more high intensity, then I'll go for one of my performance focused shoes. But that's the one thing that I will say about Saucony and how much respect I have for all the people that I work with is the amount of tender love and care that truly goes into every single aspect of our business that we're doing, from every relationship that we hold, cross-functional, the teams, the way the teams interact with one another, to the way that we travel all the way down to our shadow reps going into stores and communicating it to other teams. Just every element is all about authenticity. And I think that one thing that when you were talking, Morgan, about how you weren't a good student in high school and how that's led you now to where you are, that's something that I resonate with a lot, because I was a struggled child who just educationally faced a lot of challenges in my life. And I've had to repeat grades, I've had to repeat classes, I turned my entire life around when I went back to school later in life. I went in my late 20s back to college, and it was the best decision I ever could have done, because I am so thankful for everything that I learned. And my background is actually, I have a BFA in graphic design. So I primarily am a graphic designer, but I have had every job since graduating has been in marketing, because I never wanted to be a one-trick pony. So I was somebody who just love that underdog mentality, but also I don't like to put myself in a box. I love to have
Yeah.
my hands in a lot of different things. I love to use my creativity and my passion for a lot of things. So, yeah, sorry, I just feel like I went on this long tangent, but I just love that the relatability aspect through the brand, and just to know that our projects are holding a deep connection, a deep rooted connection like that, especially from it championing from what J Tips has done. I think this latest release, like, it's hard to be like, oh, this was our best. But really, I think by far, this has been my favorite campaign he has ever done. I think it
Yeah.
was so beautifully executed.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, I've seen a change in Saucony over the last few years. I imagine it started when Jason got there. And you're right. Like it's, I think this is why it resonates more with the people too, not just because before Saucony was like a niche group of like super nerds, right? That I was proud to be a part of, but now it's like Saucony resonates with everybody, and I don't think that it's I don't think that it's like, I think it's like a causation, not correlation, that it's because, you know, the team that you guys have over there now, and just like what you just described, the focus on being authentic and you know, really tapping in with the consumer. And, you know, that's one of the things that got me, because I was a big Jordan guy growing up, right? Like, huge Jordan guy, huge Nike and Jordan. And then once I started seeing, like, I mean, I don't have any personal connection to these products that are going out other than like the shoes that Jordan wore. I didn't really have very much connection to the product, but I saw Saucony. It was like, okay, here's a shoe about this. Like, oh, okay, I can relate to that. There's a shoe about that, right? Like, I think that there is something to be said about the team that's over there now and the success. I don't think it's an accident that the success Saucony's having is because of the team that's over there.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I think this is probably the fourth or fifth time I've said it. But when we had Jason on, I haven't said it yet. But when we
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I thought you were just agreeing with me. I thought that what I just said was the fourth or fifth time you said it.
No, so when we had Jason on, we was talking about me really getting into Saucony, and I was like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really wasn't checking for Saucony. He was like, well, honestly, I don't know if Saucony was checking for you, and it was kind of one of those things that you're just like, you know what?
That's a good point.
You might be on to something. Yeah, you might be on to something. And with J Tips, I've watched at least all of his interviews, and I don't mean to toot no horns or nothing, but I feel like our interview with J Tips is the absolute, hands down, the best, simply because he did it right in front of his house on the door. Like, yo, that episode,
he did it on the stoop, man. He did it on the stoop.
That is him, like
true style. Yeah,
that's him. Like, you know what? I mean, I'm busy, but you know what? You got me. We can do it in front of. We can do it right here. And I was like, hey, let's do it. You know, and he was invested in the, you know, we're talking in the conversation, and he's still like, you know, what's up? How you doing, man? You know, hey, I'm on the phone.
Yeah,
you know?
talking to people, neighbors and stuff.
And it didn't make it a bad episode. It made it like, this is J Tips. You know, you can hear the environment in the background. You can, like, it's just him. And it was like, that was still like lead top 3 episodes for the Soul Brothers. A lot of people talk about how Saucony wouldn't see the success without J Tips, and I feel like if J Tips was to drop something with Nike, Reebok, Adidas, could he be the authentic J Tips that we're seeing? And I feel like a lot of people don't put 2 and 2 together. Like, I feel like we wouldn't get the success or these stories if Saucony didn't meet J Tips or J Tips didn't meet Saucony. You know, I don't see these stories, these visuals, these presentations. I don't see that with any other brand. You know, maybe I'm biased, but I don't see. I can't see a Nike campaign with that in there. Because you're not going to hear him speak of the creative director. Like, you're not going to hear that. You're not going to hear him say, like, oh, you need to stop hanging out with Phil, or, you know, like, or Tinker. You know, you're not going to hear that. That's not going to be that's not gonna be at the end of the promo. So like that, I think that's what makes it, you know. All right, I want to watch this because it's just like it's so relatable. And when you think of these other brands, it's kind of like I relate to them simply because of my environment, my childhood, seeing other people wear those shoes. That's why it's relatable. But to think of these other brands, they kind of seem out of reach. Like you think of these other brands, like it's the big box brand. Like I love them because of my childhood, my uncles, my cousins, my brothers, people that put it on. That's why I relate or feel the way I feel towards those brands. But when you bring like someone like J Tips telling these stories, it's like I like that because of the story that he's telling.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. First of all, I just have to tell everybody exactly what Flex just said about. Wait, was it Flex or was it Morgan? Who said it was just describing about when he was doing the podcast?
Me.
When he was on the stoop. Okay.
Flex, yeah.
So that 1000% is exactly how J Tips is. He's in an Uber. He's like going to get his kids to school. He's like, he's walking and talking. Okay.
Yeah.
Where he's like outside, like trying to do something and he's multitasking. He is like that internally too when we're like on our calls with him because he loves everybody. He gives them the attention they need, but he also is like the king of multitasking because Tips is like just, you know, like he'll be talking to us and then like somebody, he's in his warehouse or his office and is just like, yeah. You know, like that is just how his nature is. That's just how his personality is. And I love everything that you guys just said because I feel so proud to work for Saucony and for a brand that really just allows the consumer to be themselves. And I think that also ties down to the employees that work there. They let us express ourselves and how, you know, what we're passionate about, what we want to do, the way that we see things. You know, everybody is heard, you know, to a certain degree. Like everybody's heard in their input and they find interesting ways internally to just like really just connect on what's happening. And then also the collaborator. I think that you guys just said it really well. Like if he had been with another brand, would it look the way that it looks now? Not everything needs to be so polished because I think people are just tired of seeing this false narrative of perfection. And I think that even if you're looking at creators online, if you're looking at influencers, people want to see like unedited, like the aesthetic is to not have the aesthetic, which is the aesthetic. Like, you know, I think that this is a very interesting time. And even though Saucony is as old as it is, we're kind of like, how do I say this in the right way? Without it tying the narrative to this person, but you know, Madonna has reinvented herself so many times. Sometimes there's hits and misses, right? Sometimes there's hits and misses. But the fact that she's been bold enough, also Lady Gaga, like I will also say that too. Michael Jackson had been that type of person too beforehand. There's been a lot of influential people. Even if you look through art, like Picasso, you know, how he had his blue period. Like there's just been different levels of evolving. And I think Saucony has done its growing, you know, through the years, and it has found its voice now. And I think it's just even going to get louder and stronger. So we have this amazing opportunity to really redefine the narrative. And I think that's what's happening right now. We want to be in the conversation with people. We don't want to be talking at people. And that's one thing that I constantly am saying in meetings or calls, like when we're talking about the brand, is that like, we're not here to talk at you. We want to talk with you. So we want to support you in the way that you live your life. And I feel like there is a lot of brands out there because it's like you're this high, like where do you go? Like where do you go? Because I think like people are just kind of in this uncertain period. Some of the brands I feel like are just like teetering. And then there's others that have been down here that are going. I don't think that it's necessary that we need to be up here in everybody's faces 24/7. It's like the period of time where Drake was on every frigging feature, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like what, 8 years straight? Like he was on track after track after track. Eventually you gotta get tired of like somebody in your face constantly. Like take a break.
Right.
Take a break for a
Right.
second, refresh, redefine, and then come back. I think we have a great pace. I think that we are authentically evolving ourselves. And I know I keep using that word, but like it just values, core values, like really mean a lot to me. And I don't want to put myself in an environment where I don't feel as being like authentic to me. And so I feel proud when I wear my Saucony shoes or when I get to talk to people about the brand and being in those rooms and having these conversations with really top tier retailers and how we're going to show up through different campaigns or influencers or activations, like whatever we're planning. I'm always thinking from the consumer's point of view. And I think I just have to say, I think that really stems from having a retail background, because nothing makes me appreciate just that experience as much as like being directly one-on-one with the consumer and fitting people's shoes, like literally like fitting their shoes and talking to them about the product and seeing what they like. And there's like this high that comes with that, because you get excited as somebody's like either discovering your brand for the first time or reintroducing them, themselves to your brand, or just trying to figure out what's trending. I was there in Vans for the Damn Daniel. Okay. That was
You back again with the white Vans.
yes. And then the Vans, like of the flipping of the Vans, so people would come in the store and start flipping our shoes around. It was crazy. But
oh, I forgot about that. Yo, that's crazy.
Yes. And then also I had the luxury of working for Nordstrom for 4 years. So I worked in a couple of their racks. I actually opened a rack too. I worked in a couple of their full lines. I was a visual merchandiser for them at one point. I was a visual merchandiser for J. Crew. I worked in Hot Topic as a teenager. I opened a Target store and was on the visual team there. So like I have literally had my fair share of retail, and I think that I just want to like say to like, if anybody's listening and I know what that's like to like want to be on the inside if you're somebody who's working on the outside, and just never give up. If it is something that you truly want, raise your hand for any opportunity, put yourself out there, because that's exactly how the situation I got myself into. I started on the e-com team. So I was an e-com marketing coordinator for the entire Wolverine portfolio. And I organically met Jason, raised my hand, and was like, how can I help? Would love to be a part of this. And now here I am working directly with Saucony team, and I couldn't be more thankful for that opportunity. But I wouldn't be who I am today or in this situation today had I not gone through years and years and years of retail, including fast food. Like, shout out to all my fast food workers out there, because that is a skilled thing. And
where are you?
Okay. So
here we go.
I was scrubbing toilets with the best of them at Wendy's. I was working the late night shift while going to community college, paying my way through school, there till 3 a.m., 4 a.m., soaking wet, scrubbing the grills and all the dishes, and being there early in the morning, cutting the salads, like doing it all. Like, oh my gosh. So I did Wendy's, I did Dunkin' Donuts. It's a core staple, right? Because I'm from Boston.
Dunkin'.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, Dunkin', of course.
Also, fun fact, never had a cup of coffee in my life. So
really?
Yes. Don't know how that works, but never. No. But yeah, I just wanted to like just send that message in case somebody ever like listens to this and they're they hate their retail job, or they're like, oh, if I was in corporate I'd be doing XYZ better. And it's like, raise your hand, put yourself out there, see whatever it is you can be involved in, and like connect with people. The best piece of advice I ever got was from a college professor who said, look for somebody who's doing the job you want or in the space that you want to be in and ask them for a cup of coffee. And you know what? That's exactly what I did with Jason is I emailed him within the company and I said, hey, would you like to go get coffee? I would love to talk to you about, and I relayed a couple of things that touched me from the podcast episode that he had been on. And I
with us?
No, this was like a couple of years ago. So I think it was on Hassan's. I think it was my first
kicks. My first kicks, yeah.
So you never know. You never know. Be thankful for where you come from and, you know, how you began, because that is going to come back and you're going to be thankful for that.
100%.
So all these coffee dates and you've never drank a cup of coffee. Like, you want to drink some coffee? I don't drink it, but
I'll buy you a cup. But
I'm a tea drinker myself as well.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee.
I don't do coffee.
I don't like the aftertaste.
No, not for me. I do zero caffeine. I gave up soda a long time ago too. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't drink the soda either.
So what's kind of like your sneaker history? Because like when you were at these other places, when you were at Vans and when you were at Wendy's, like were you, and even before you got with Wolverine and Saucony, like were you wearing Sauconys at that time? What was kind of like your like sneaker history? Like what kind of got you into this, or like what interests did you have that like kind of got you in this space?
So this is a great question, because before coming on to this podcast and like listening to a lot of these podcasts, shout out to, you know, My First Kicks, Hassan, and the Sneaky Leak Girls.
Bleep all those out, Flex. Bleep all those out. Just
no, but also Soul Brothers. Hello.
Yeah, there we go.
You guys, this is my first ever podcast, so be honored.
That is true. That is true.
But this made me reflect on where the humble beginnings started for me, and kind of the theme of this episode with talking about underdogs. I feel like that was something that I had to write it down. I told the guys, like, I literally had to write down and call my mom and be like, hey, like, what was I into? Okay, like, oh, I do remember these. Can you just confirm that, like, this was it? I'm not, like, hallucinating. So I am I'm an 80s baby. So growing up as a little kid in the 90s, I'm about like mid 80s baby. So I had like the little kid wear right before the 90s, and Reebok was at its like height and prime because of jazzercise and aerobics and all that. So I have a lot of photos of me in like Reebok freestyles with the two straps at the top, and then I had like neon laces. I wore a lot of Keds sneaker, which was interesting because when I joined Wolverine, Keds was still our brand before they sold Keds off. So I thought that was like kind of crazy. I was like, whoa, like Keds is here? I remember like being Tinkerbell one year for Halloween, and my mom actually like made my costume, and she like painted my Keds, because being the canvas, it was easy to just customize. I'm going to pull out an OG, like old school style here. Lugs.
Yeah, remember Lugs?
Okay.
They had the Birdman commercial.
This is like middle school now, where I'd probably be in like Jinko jeans, Tommy Hilfiger t-shirt, oversized Tommy Hilfiger t-shirt, and a pair of like leather brown, like low top Lugs, like real chunky sneaker. Not the boot, but the sneaker. So, like I said, humble beginnings. Definitely was a Payless kid, you know, raised by a single mom. We did what we could. My mom always like had me, you know, in what she could afford, and we definitely had those matching swishy sweatsuits.
Oh yeah.
I can't even, like, which I think is so funny. But Airwalks was probably like my big shoe. That was like always a shoe that I remember like being in, because I was kind of, again, like I've just never fit in, and I'm okay with that, and I embrace that, especially now as, you know, an older adult. Like, I reflect back and I think of all the times that I wish that I had fit in, but then like looking back, I'm so much more equipped to like looking at this list and being like, wow, I really was not like on the top tier of things. I had volatiles. I don't even know if you guys even know what that is, but
That's the first pair I don't know. I've never heard of a volatile.
Spice Girls like platform shoes, and they had this like rimmed like top, so it was kind of like you could like roll, like, I don't know, roll back and forth, but like huge, like Y2K platform sneakers, and I had them in this navy blue, like all over suede, and I also was wearing Vans from a young age, so I remember. Yes.
Is that it? Oh wow.
Yes. Yeah.
That's like I found over Amazon. So
I probably almost rolled my ankles so many times.
Reminds me of the Shape Up.
But like the Spice Girls were like everything, so I mean, it just naturally was like, how can I make this look? I don't even know. Don't ask me what I wore them with, but like, I don't know.
They call them the Gacho pants.
The gaucho.
Yo, them things was crazy.
I want to throw up just thinking about those, and I can't even believe I wore them. You guys have to think, right? I was in high school from 2002 to 2006. That was like the epitome of like girls wearing. There's two different types of girls. There's girls wearing pink leggings, like the Victoria's Secret like brand pink. So like those black leggings tucked in their Ugg boot with like a polo with a cami and the North Face jacket with the little purse, like exactly kind of what you're seeing come back now was like the time for me. And then there's like my other like group of peoples who were wearing like Angels jeans or like J-Lo's jeans that you'd go to Kohl's or you'd go to Rainbows or
what was that other brand? What was the other brand? Oh, it had like the dot. Jeans? No, not apple bottom. Mud. Was it Mud?
Oh,
MUD.
Oh yeah, Mud.
Mud jeans. You get those. Oh my God, what's it called? The catalogs that would come in the mail. I can't remember, but it was like a catalog that you would just drool over because you're like, yeah, girl, like I can't afford any of this, but I would just circle it imaginary thinking I'd want it anyways. But the closest we go to like all those other stores and, you know, you would just go get the jeans. And luckily, like I was a full figure girl. So I was always like trying to hunt for plus size jeans, which was not easy. So my mom had to like drive me places to go, you know, find this stuff. But they would be the ones wearing like the Jordans, you know, in the early 2000s or the Air Forces. And like that was kind of more of, you know, streetwear to that side to like the white preppy girl on the other side. So it was really an interesting mix. But I also was wearing Sauconys growing up. So that was like one thing, like we would go up to Maine because I have the luxury of where I live. I could literally be in Rhode Island in less than an hour, Connecticut less than an hour. I can be in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine all within 1 hour. Because like it's just like the way that you drive things. So we have the outlets that are like right towards the end of Maine, the Kittery outlets, and we would go there to go get our, you know, shoes or whatnot. And my mom, we were wearing the Jazz Originals at that time. So it was like, again, like the navy with the nylon on the side. And then I go into my 20s, right? So also towards the end of like my teens, I was wearing a lot of flats because like flats were like
flats, yo.
Let me tell you, I definitely probably got plantar fasciitis like because of all the flats. Working the front end at Target, wearing flats on that floor for like 8-hour shifts. No. So like those a lot of ugly flats. A lot of Toms.
Those knitted flower ones that you get from the salon, the little hair shop.
No, not the salon. Not those from the flea market. The half ones. Yes. Girls wearing those with the gaucho pants. There you go.
Gotcha.
Oh my gosh. Gauchos. So you were wearing Toms. You were wearing the Toms.
Which your feet would smell from the Toms because you were not wearing no-show socks. Weren't like really like a big
No,
thing
you were
at
going.
this time.
Yeah.
Commando.
Yeah, just right in there, nasty.
We were just disparaging
about
Toms just a couple weeks ago. KJ.
I was literally all about the Toms like for a while, and then I think it was probably because I was working at Nordstrom Rack and they were carried there, and I could get them cheap. But then shout out to my Wendy's people. I kind of
shout out Wendy's.
I got introduced to. This is when Jordan kind of came into my life a little bit. It was very short-lived, but I had to write it down here. So I got in 2009 when they re-released the Space Jam. So I got the Jordan 11 Retros. And then I also remember having in 2013 when they launched the Air Jordan 5 Grapes, they re-released those, right? So I had those. And then I can't remember. It could have been Air Jordan 5, but they were like this all over satin pair. I got them in 2 colorways. It had like magenta accents, and then it also had the little that little fastener like on the laces there too.
The lace lock.
Not the lace lock
like
at
the
the
burgundy
I guess it could be, but at the top. And then, so it was all black satin with the magenta, and then it also had a purple. The other pair had purple, so I had those two. But that was like it for like any Jordan Nike product. Like I never had those name brands growing up, and then to end this entire like saga of my life, as I got into my early 30s, in my 30s, I definitely started hitting up the Adidas outlet a lot. So I would end up stumbling over some of the. Oh, well, now we got this cool thumbs up here.
You got a thumbs up.
The Human
Morgan, put your
Race.
thumb down.
So I was able to get some of the Pharrell shoes, which I was really into. I love the PK, like the Prime Knit on Adidas. I was rocking with that for quite some time. But now I've dwindled down on those, and I mean, by default, my closet is all Saucony, like pretty much, because it's like, when am I gonna really wear another brand?
Right. Like if you go to the office in a pair of like Asics, like what's the?
We're not going to the office in Asics.
Right.
I would probably say the only pair that I've ever wore to the office is like my Doc Martens. Like you're gonna wear a pair that there's no competition because it's just not right. Like why would I want to go into another shoe?
It's like going to Wendy's with a McDonald's shirt on.
You're just not gonna do that. I mean, a cool pair that I did pick up was the Joe Freshgoods New Balance. It was the pink pair, the one that was exclusive to him. So I accidentally won that in the raffle. Like, I thought I canceled because I was like, oh, never mind, I changed my mind. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you won. And I was like, oh, all right, sweet.
Great.
Like, but I have them. Okay. Like, I have not worn them yet. But I think I will eventually wear them. But
we won't say anything to Jason about it. Like,
I really love them though. They're a gorgeous pair. I can't remember the name. It's like
the performance arts. The performance. Gosh, was it a pack of 3?
No, it was a pack of 2. It had the black pair, like the black with the orange hits on it.
Oh no!
Let me see.
I'm trying to remember.
On the black Joe Fresh, because
It was just a couple. It was the 1000s.
Oh, the mink pinks.
Yes.
Yeah.
The mink pink.
The pink mink or the mink pink.
The pure
pink those.
Mink.
Yeah.
So I have these.
Yeah. I forgot about those. I've got the other pair, which I wish I had the pink pair.
Yeah,
but it's funny because everybody said they kind of like that pair, but then I also hear that too, that people really love the pink pair. But
I really like the pink pair. The black pair looks like the Air Max something tuned, the Air Tuned Max or something like that in the celery colorway. I don't know. It's a great pair. It's so
I
a
do
great
have to
pair.
tell you guys though, like from ingesting, like not ingesting, but digesting a lot of sneaker podcasts and content. You know, mostly everybody's talking about Jordan. Mostly everybody's talking about Nike. Like it does become repetitive. I love when people sprinkle in other brands because it's not that like I'm not. You know, I understand. I'm definitely. It's part of Tips's story himself, you know, like where everything that came from, like his love of Nike and Jordan. But I think that it's refreshing to hear about the other brands only because I love to see what is happening. But as you guys now have just heard, all the shoes that I wore, I was definitely always like unintentionally looking elsewhere.
Yeah.
Price point, you know, like just accessibility. What my style was definitely quirky. Like I was that kid who was really into emo. I had like fire engine red hair, black underneath, like was listening to My Chemical Romance, like, you know, was going to Lansdowne Street before House of Blues was there in Boston. It was the Avalon, it was the Access, like these clubs out there that I would be going to these shows. And actually, a cool random fact about me is when I was in my teenagehood, about 17, I think, I got an opportunity to work for Warner Brother Records as a field marketing intern. So when I graduated high school in 2006, I went on Vans Warped Tour. And this was the time that Paramore was just about to explode. Gym Class Heroes was on the up. And I actually lived with Gym Class Heroes in their bus. So it was kind of this really crazy experience that I got to travel around the country. And who would have ever thought that I'd like work retail for Vans like later on, like what a weird thing. But having had that experience and just from networking people, and shout out to MySpace. Okay. Like this is how the story like goes back to, I was probably like 13 years old, and Yahoo used to have this thing called Yahoo groups. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. It's kind of like message boards, like kind of like a Reddit, but more group, like more curated.
Yeah.
So I started my little promotions business called Boston Gal Promotions. So I'd make like these little graphics and posters, and I would promote local artists and bands and things like that. And I'd go to shows, and I've met like one of my closest friends who actually used to sing, like he was like a pop singer. And then we like just hit it off and still talk to this day and friends.
Yeah.
And just like you never know who you're gonna meet, right?
You're not gonna name drop.
Oh, his name is Brandon. Shout out Brandon. He doesn't sing anymore, but he's an amazing chef though. So he cooks.
Yeah.
He cooks.
Okay.
Sorry, Flex. That's rude of me, right? So Yahoo groups used to do that, and then once MySpace became open to people that didn't have a college email address, because I don't know if you guys remember that, like in the beginning, you couldn't get on there. So I was like one of those kids too that was like, I don't know how the hell I was coding my profile, like doing all this crazy shit. I had my profile swapped, and like I'm like, where's all those skills now? Like, why leave? You know?
Yeah.
Having like I remember I had like a light box, like scrolling feed, like did all this crazy shit on there. I'm like, wow, like again.
Flex, did you have a MySpace, Flex?
Come on, man, I had a MySpace.
I don't know.
What was the thing you used to have people like sign at the bottom, like, oh, I'm tagged on blah blah blah's MySpace. It was like what was it called? It was like you would tag it would like not actually tag them or mention them, but like it was like their tag on your MySpace.
A comment, like on the wall.
Yeah, but like
you write on their wall.
No. Like you specifically were on their MySpace. Like
your top friends.
Oh yeah.
Your top
the top friends. No, I know what you're talking about though. I think I know what you're talking about.
It was a thing to be like, you know, like, oh, I got this person.
That's what, because you were probably
like their bio type deal thing.
Yeah, I'm with
bio.
you.
It's hard to explain.
So I think I was like just starting high school when MySpace was like real. I started high school when I was 6. And so I think I was just starting high school when like MySpace was really, really popping off.
No, wait, what?
What you mean?
MySpace in high school? Bro, we was well
Wait.
on to like Facebook by high school.
In 06? Maybe middle school? I don't
You
remember.
started high school in 06? What did you graduate? 09?
I did.
Oh,
I graduated in 2010.
oh well, maybe you was high school.
Yeah, okay, this is why, because you guys were on the tail end of MySpace, and
Yeah.
I was like a little bit before you.
So,
So,
yeah,
MySpace
so
was-
I
for
was
me,
like
it was, like, middle
Facebook,
school.
like Facebook was like huge. Like I remember
Mhm.
Facebook more.
I remember MySpace a lot more because we just do the little edits and put little and it kind of translated over.
You
to
have
Facebook.
music on the
Absolutely.
Isn't it
music
weird?
on-
Just one day you just never logged back in and just
Yeah.
forgot all about it. It was so weird how that.
Yeah, one day it was just my last day getting on MySpace.
Yeah, never
Well,
looked back.
didn't
Yeah.
MySpace get like shut down to where you couldn't log in?
That was
anymore?
way after. Like that was like way
That's when I
after.
stopped. When we couldn't log
Oh,
in
he was
no
still
more.
rocking with it forever.
You couldn't log in no more. It was just like, all right, let's go to Facebook.
I was also using a fake email address because I didn't have my own email address at the time.
Oh,
So I had to have been
God.
middle school. Had to have been middle school.
Zach, I was like,
Yeah, I had to have been middle school.
MySpace in high school.
Probably that. Yeah, because about that time, like I said, like there was that like time where you couldn't even get on it because you had to only be in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on there, I came across this two twins that are from Australia called the Veronicas. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Is that a group? That's a
Yeah. So
that's a
they're
group?
singers, yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa and Jess, or Riglasso, and they were doing their first 4 shows ever. And this is how ambitious I am, right? So they're doing their first 4 shows ever in the United States, and one of them was going to be at the Hat Shell in Boston, right off the Charles River, and it said there, like, if anybody wants to hand out flyers and whatnot, like looking for opportunity, promo team. I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing this. So I like got a group of my friends. I hit the lady up. We went to the hotel lobby and whatnot, and the girls like did a private performance for us. We went to the show, handed out a bunch of pins and all this stuff and flyers. And then I guess they also gave us a shout out on stage, which was so crazy. So then we got a bunch of hits. Like they got so much foot traffic like on their site from that that the woman from Warner Brothers was like, hey, do you want more opportunities? And I was like, absolutely. So then they started sending me a whole bunch of shit to my mom's house, like where I was living, and it would be like, I did Red Hot Chili Pepper Stadium Arcadium. I did Madonna's 1-800-Confessions. I did Less Than Jake, like a pizza party with them. I met My Chemical Romance a bunch of times because I did a lot of theirs. I did ran Fort Miners meet and greet with Mike Shinoda. Just like a bunch of artists that like they would send me to shows. I was literally like taking the bus to New York by myself and the same day coming right back. And my mom was letting me. I was like a teenager, and we just had this conversation like yesterday about this too. She's like, I was nervous, but like I trusted you. But I was outside of TRL doing promo for these acts, and it was kind of cool because I have a book that I made for the Veronicas, and I just saw them. It's over here, but I just saw them last year. It was the first time in like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've seen them live in like over a decade and a half. And I have all of these photos from their, like every time they would come into town, I would hang out with them. I would like do work for them, whatnot. And I built this relationship with them. So I have the entire beginning of their career. I have all these photos and screenshots and all this stuff that I made them a book, and I got to give it to them because I got a meet and greet pass to go see them. And I went to the show by myself, which I highly recommend. People should go to concerts alone because it is such an amazing experience. But yeah, just like that's how ambitious I was. And that's when they were like, hey, do you want to go out on Warped Tour? And I was like, oh my God, yes. And I slept on the couch of the van. I remember sleeping on the curb because they'd be having like parties at night and I was like exhausted. Like you're like
Sleep on the
outside, it's like so hot. You're in Texas in the middle of summer and you're like shaving your leg in a bucket, like outside, like really roughing it. But
Yeah.
let me tell you, being 19 years old and one of the youngest people on this tour, it was so crazy. Paramore and I were like the youngest people, and I made friends
Yeah.
with them at the time too. So people are like, you lived this entire life before you were even 21 years old. And
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. But again, like now, like I'm almost in my, like, but I have all of this life experience and I feel like I'm having a resurgence now from this experience working in footwear and just like being in the space and connecting and meeting people. And
Yeah.
I've kept all this like inside, like, you know, so many of my stories, it's just like inside of me and what I've done in my life and where I've been and who I've seen and met and networked with. Like, that's the thing. I always tell everybody I know, it can't hurt to ask. That's like my motto, you know, if you're interested in something, ask, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody's just going to say no.
No.
Yeah. Like you kept doing to us, but
Hey,
But eventually I say, yeah.
you did say yes. You did say yes.
One yes.
That's true.
This is the yes that mattered.
This was the yes that mattered 100%.
But I will say one thing too, is I know we had like had a little bit of a kind of thought process here, right? Of what we were going to discuss coming into this podcast. And I think this all ties back to, you know, obviously shout out Women's History Month. And again, like, thank you guys for inviting me on the podcast. I think it's important to uplift women's voices, but being in this space and being in spaces that have been primarily male dominated, and having the experience that I've had, I think that we are in an interesting time. And I think that the narrative that is being drawn now is tricky. I feel like we are taking so many steps forward, but there's so many steps that we are taking backwards at the same time. And women have to raise their hand. They have to work 10 times harder. They have to, especially to hold your own in conversation in this space. Obviously, I know I don't have all that knowledge on Nike or Jordan, and I think that why I say that brand in particular is because they are a huge part of the conversation and the reference. And, you know, it's a huge generational, international, like, just, it's a huge part of everybody's story, upbringing that is within my age range and a little older, you know, from when Nike started to now. So I understand the importance of it. So you can't just single something out because it's super popular. No, it resonates and it's a part of what the history of what's happening right now is. And you guys talk about it a lot with like reselling. And then obviously, like, it's the number one company that everybody's always looking at, right? And everybody's always like, I want to work for Nike, or I want to be a part of Nike, or whatever they can do to kind of get close. It's almost like that false idol like feeling, right? Like you praise to something, but you can't see it, so you want to touch it and be a part of it, that energy. And I think Nike has done a great job in certain spaces of representing things that haven't been represented before, or getting right on it and supporting it yet, because they do have the funds to support the platform. However, I don't know if the narrative has always been as relatable like we were talking about. So I think sometimes they could be there with the messaging, but is it in your face too much, or are you like, are you walking aside the consumer? Like, are you empowering me to do it, to be all that I can be in whatever I'm doing? And I'm sure, Morgan, you can kind of speak to that. Like, if you have a lot of young women, young girls that you might coach in tennis, right?
Yeah. Definitely, like, you know, being a coach, I mean, we're in girls season right now. There is I'll give you an example. I have been, there's 3 coaches, there's 3 of us. There's the head coach, and then we have 2 assistant coaches. And I've always been like the second assistant coach. And our woman coach, she has been like the third assistant coach, right? And so we made the decision that for the girls' season this year, we would kind of flip roles, because we felt like the girls needed more of a woman's voice, right? They don't need 2 guys who have never had a woman experience, right? Or experiences as women, trying to help teach them and like teach us, because a lot of what we do is like, we're not just teaching them how to play tennis, but we're turning them into adults, right? A lot of them, I see them as middle schoolers, and then some of my first tennis players are married and are having kids now, right?
Wow.
And so like, you know, we figured that, well, we need to put the woman in charge, right? And kind of have her kind of lead the way, so that A, they've got more of a woman voice, right? And I take a back seat. And B, is because like she knows a lot of their needs during matches or during practices and stuff like that. And like with what you were saying with like Nike, right? And them having the capital to make those types of like decisions, it's kind of like any sort of backlash. Because I mean, in the world that we have today, you do anything that isn't, the norm, like the default copy paste, like the norm, right? I'm just call it the norm.
Yeah.
It's seen as woke, and I think I said this a couple episodes ago. Like it's
Every episode.
it is okay, all right, but it's like seen as like woke, and then of course the motto is like, you go woke, you go broke. So you mentioned that women exist, and you mentioned that people of color exist, or you mentioned that LGBTQ plus people exist. It's kind of like, there's an agenda there, right? And I think Nike has the money to take those risks and still be looked at as like a good company. But at the same time, it's like, you're right. Like, are they empowering people to, like you said, raise their hand and be in those meetings and have their voices heard? And I'm not 100% sure, because like I don't know what's going on in those rooms. But after our conversation with KJ, it seems like there's still work to be done on that front.
Yeah, we just women have to work twice as hard. Like, there's no if and buts about it. Like, we just have to work twice as hard. I have to constantly stay in the know, and I'm actually really thankful, because I said this out loud to somebody the other day. I go, wow, the reason why I can hold my own in this space is because I've learned from men. I've literally learned from men. And I also will say, some of my biggest supporters and advocators in rooms that have been where I haven't been in have been men. Yeah. And I think that is truly a gift, because that's somebody utilizing, their position or privilege or whatever it may be to uplift, others. And I look around the room, and I'm constantly like trying to be mindful and aware of, is there women in the space? But not only that, like, is there BIPOC in the space as well too? Because I'm somebody who grew up in actually I'm from this city called Lowell, Massachusetts, and Lowell is a city that is huge with a lot of immigrants, and
You said
it's unique. Lowell. Wait.
No.
What?
BIPOC. What's that?
BIPOC. So that's like Black, Indigenous people of color.
Oh, okay.
Are you serious, dude? In the year 2025?
Hey, I'm
just kidding. I'm messing with you. All good. All good. I'm just kidding.
It matters the fact that I asked.
That is true. I mean, that is true.
This is important. It's all no stupid questions here. Like, this
no stupid questions, Flex.
It's about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I think that's like the main thing that needs to happen nowadays, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think in my childhood and now in my adulthood, a lot of things that I missed out on or didn't handle well or recognize well just because I didn't ask questions. And growing up as a man, you're very prideful. You don't want to be the butt end of somebody's joke. You don't want to be viewed as weak. So a lot of times you're like, I don't know what that is, and you'll end up nodding to the wrong thing. And then you're like, oh, when all you had to do was just ask a question. So,
Dang, my bad, Flex.
I
I should have made you the butt end of my joke.
You didn't. I just made myself look a lot more mature than you. But
Yeah, no, I think that was really important, and I'm glad you just said what you said, because I feel like that a lot of people don't. They don't like think about all the times that you were in middle school or something and you didn't want to ask a question, and the teacher just kept moving on, and it was like,
that was me.
You're not encouraged to like ask because you feel like either you're embarrassed or you're ashamed or whatnot, and that shouldn't be the case. So like what I was saying too is where I'm from is actually the second largest Cambodian population in the United States, behind Long Beach, California. And so I grew up with a lot of friends of all different backgrounds, and I got to learn a lot about different cultures. And obviously, like, a lot of us are from humble beginnings. There are some people who are able to make it out and go on to do bigger things with their lives, and there are some who are still, there and still like hustling and struggling, and or some people are still in the cycle of suffering. It's very. We have a very big heroin epidemic in the city as well that the city's been trying to work on. And at the end of the day, though, like, as much change has happened in my city, I am proud to be where I'm from. And I think that has allowed me to work harder as an adult to like be thankful from the spaces and places that I have been in to where I come from where I come from to where I get to be in. So I don't take it for granted of any opportunities because I feel so thankful. I am very hard on myself though. Like, I am somebody who kind of like struggles with like that perfectionism. So like I'm like, oh, like I should have done this different, or I should have said this, or worked harder or whatnot. But like I was saying, for women to have men be supporters, like, you have to think some girls don't grow up with a father, right? Some girls don't have male role models in their lives, and they kind of strive for that affection or that attention or that validation. And I actually used to be a child in this nonprofit called Girls Inc. And they have a lot of them throughout throughout United States and Canada. And I think there's like 500 in total, maybe. And where mine was, because it was in the city, so you have a lot of low income inner city youth there. And I attended from like 6 to 12, and then I ended up working there from the age of like 19 to 30. So I was like staff there, and working with the youth was so amazing to me because I felt like I could take my personal experiences and I could try to teach them and guide them. So I did a lot of art with them, and I did a lot of photography with them. I introduced them, and some of them now, like you said, some of your first tennis students are getting married now. Like, some of them like are in college, and they're like, they would see me somewhere and they're like, oh, they call me Gen V because there was like another Gen there. So they were like, Gen V. And they're like so grown up now in their 20s. And one of them goes, oh, I do photography now because of the class that we did
awesome
together. And that's it. It just takes one person to believe in you. And so that's why I think it is a special dynamic. Like, when women do have men in their corner, but also women supporting women, and in this space, like, again, like, I will shout out the Sneaky League girls because I am really proud. Like, nobody has to be perfect in anything that they're doing, but they throw it at the wall and they embrace who they are and they try. And I think more women should be able to be a part of the conversation, because the whole thing isn't about knowing everything. And you guys are very much vulnerable out there, putting it out there. You know, if we make a mistake on what the number of a shoe is, or like the name of the model, or not coming up with everything right away, like we're not encyclopedias. We are human.
Right.
And we contain only so much that we can. But I think the gift is just the conversation and just being able to connect with another human on a shared interest and passion. And I wish more women, and I empower more women to just be a part of the narrative in whatever way, shape, or form they see, because we want to hear your voices too. Your voices are there. And you guys were talking a lot about JD Sports last last podcast. And I think, you know, I just recently saw that they did some women's activations for Women's History Month. And it makes me happy because you never know like what their consumer, like the statistics of their consumer base is. Yeah. And I think that being able to just bring more women into these retailers and these spaces, because men might be, maybe they're the, you know, males are the number one consumer, like coming in and buying, but like women also like are exactly what KJ said too. Like maybe it's the girlies who are trying to get for their partner, like, or their husband or their son. Like, you know, they're trying. My best friend literally hates the fact that her son loves the Lamellos. Like, so she's like, they're so loud, they're so ugly. And let me tell you right now, they're in the military, and they're stationed out in Guam. So it's already limited of what they can get. But the fact that you can go in the store and pick out the loudest shoe and be so happy about it, like that makes me happy. But the whole reason why I bring this up is because I would not be here right now on this podcast with you had I not learned from friends and from an ex-boyfriend, like this space. Like certain people taught me. My friend Eli, who actually worked on the LaMelo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pack, he's an apparel graphic designer for Puma basketball. So shout out Eli. And shout out Eli. Shout out Eli. And he has his own brand called Dry Liquid Studios. And he has a, you know, he may be an apparel graphic designer in space, but his love started from drawing. And he has sons now that he like has shared that art, you know, with, in that love. And if they pick it up, that's cool. And one of them definitely draws a lot. And I think that that's such a special to have like seen that. But he was taking me into different spaces. He was connecting me with different people. And it was people that during this time, he actually helped me get back into my photography. And while we were in college, we met in college. So he helped me pick up the camera because I put it down for years. And that was my outlet. Like that was my passion, something that I really loved. And then I ended up meeting people that I shot photos of that were like doing bodega. They were modeling for bodega too. So they're in my portfolio, but they're also in like bodega campaigns too, which I thought was really cool because they uplift a lot of local people from our area too. But and then my ex, we actually started a vintage clothing business together that he now fully runs on his own. And he taught me a lot about, he's a huge sneakerhead. So he taught me a lot about the space. And that was like from hours of watching YouTube. Okay, a lot of YouTubers. Round 2 was like at the prime when it was happening. And it brought us all the way to like, I was there when they opened the first day of the New York Round 2 vintage store. I actually got a picture with like all the guys, like Sean, Luke, Chris, like all of them were in my photo with me, which is kind of dope. But just like I've gone to the Virginia store, and then I've been to both locations that they had in New York, and now all of those are closed down, unfortunately. But I was like watching all of this boom at that time, and then the whole Sean with Nike Air Max Day, like got you know, witnessing all of that, and so just like watching this from afar, and then learning about the thrifting space and the vintage culture and everything that's happening there, and then tying this all back to style and streetwear. Like, again, had these individuals not shown me the way, I wouldn't be here today. So I am thankful for that. But it's so amazing to have somebody like a KJ or like a Liz Beecroft who like now I can like talk to other women that are in the space and you can understand like things from their perspective that I don't get like from a man's perspective. You know, I want to hear what a woman has to say too. So all in all, I think more women's voices need to be heard. More women need to be okay with being able to join the conversation and not feel intimidated because your thoughts matter too. And nobody says that you have to say, there's no right or wrong answers here.
Right.
Sorry, 100%. That was like whole tangent.
No, but I think that's important though, because like we definitely, I mean, obviously we want to, you know, lift up and empower women's voices in the sneaker space. And, you know, I know me personally, when I was making a lot of content on TikTok, if I ever saw like maybe a woman would comment on something and, you know, they're interested in the sneaker, or they would say like, oh, my boyfriend's interested or whatever, it would be like, oh, like this is dope. Like this is like, you know, because a lot of times it's like, it's dudes and it's the same perspective, right? Like you get a little bit of difference, but it's all the same perspective. Like, and you know, women are very much a huge part of this space. And I think that that's really been emphasized over the last 5 years. But of course, you know, we're always, and we ask KJ this, but like, we always want to know like what we can do better to help uplift and empower women in this space and just be more, even if it's like being more welcoming, like if we're doing, or if we need to be better at like being more welcoming in this space or whatever. So, we are definitely, I mean, we're all ears. We want criticism, and we want nice things to be said too, but like, you know, we want to hear criticism if we're, you know, I think a criticism that we had for ourselves was we didn't have, like our first year, we didn't have a whole lot of, we only had Key. Key was the only woman that we had
Shout out
on
Key.
the pot. Yeah, right. Shout out Key. We love Key.
Absolutely.
But Key's not the only woman in sneakers, right? And she's not even the only woman who makes content in sneakers who we know, right? So that was something that we really wanted to emphasize this year was having more women on the platform, sharing their stories, sharing their point of view, right? And just having open dialogue about it. So that's why we definitely appreciate you hopping on here with us and like, you know, sharing with us like your experience and I
definitely have a unique story, and I know it's not common, and my road has not been common, but I thank God that you guys are people who are here like trying to champion women, and you're giving those opportunities. And I think that this is something really special because you guys don't make it feel so serious, you know, in that way. It's sneakers. It's fun. Exactly.
It's sneakers at the end of the day. And, you know, Flex talks about this, like what I'm really, really excited about every single day. Like what gets me up in the morning is going and teaching tennis, right? Like that is what, and working with the kids. This is just something that, you know, it's sneakers. It's just sneakers, right? So yeah, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. But at the same time, what I do think is serious is like, especially now, having each other's backs, right? Like, you know, making sure that we all have each other's backs. And so, you know, I think that, you know, we want people to know that like we try our best to champion women on this podcast. We're not perfect, but I think that we've done a pretty good job. I don't think we've gotten any complaints, but Flex deals with all that stuff. I don't look at comments. So
you'd be surprised. But I think these conversations are, you know, even though we don't make it, you seem serious. These are serious conversations, the conversations that need to be had. I mean, there's a lot of things that we've learned, just in the past few weeks of just speaking with women in sneakers, that things that we didn't understand or didn't think they mattered. They're like, oh, that does matter, or just wasn't hip to it. Like, oh, I didn't notice that. You know what? That does make sense. So just having these conversations open up your perspective of certain things, and it makes you more mindful when you're in these rooms or when you're saying things or you're asking questions. So serious but not serious, but these conversations are needed.
Yeah, for sure. With that being said, let's get into our showcase sneaker. Let's get into our showcase shoe. All right, Flex is going first. I bet it's a Saucony.
Nope.
It's not a Saucony.
And this is because it was Jen's first Jordan. This is the 2016.
Hold on, how did you know this before we even got? How did you know? She just said that. Did you have a?
So this is the 2016 Space Jam. Morgan doesn't listen, whether we're recording or not, or recording, because she definitely said it before we started recording. But
so you got it. You got it before we started. Yeah, I heard it.
And I definitely said, I'm gonna change my showcase shoe, and went up and got up and everything.
Oh yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
Anyway, so this is 2016 Space Jam Air Jordan. A lot of people talk junk about this one because of the patent leather, high, low, whatever. It doesn't matter. I feel like this is one of the best retros of the Space Jam just because of the packaging. We were getting. I don't know if Space Jam had. There was rumors about Space Jam 2, and I think it's like the 20th anniversary of Space Jam or 25th.
Like the movie Space Jam 2?
Yeah. What? No. Yeah.
It came out.
Yeah. No. I'm saying, but it hadn't came out by this time though. This was on the anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
There was rumors about it. So
I'm with you.
Yeah. It was like a resurge of like Space Jam.
Yeah.
Anyways, get into classic box. Well, kind of like.
I remember the packaging on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's gonna take a little minute to get there.
It's all good.
But shout out to Soul Protectors. I still got my Soul Protectors on these. I need to take them off.
Are they sponsoring this?
No. Oh, but they sponsor.
Okay.
They sponsor me though. So this is Space Jam for 2016. I love it. Back when we still got shoe trees,
the plastic shoe trees.
Yes. But
I wish those were blue. I wish they were blue like they were at the 09 pair, but I'm just being picky.
It has so many pairs released with blue, but I feel like this was like the best part of the box.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a science project that we used to do in shoe boxes.
Yeah. And then this, of course. With the
Yeah, the hands.
Yeah, with the 23. Yeah. So yeah, that's why to me I feel like that was one of the best releases for the Space Jam.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people. You wouldn't dare no. Yeah, go ahead.
I gave my pair to my cousin.
They start working at Saucony?
Because I only wore them. No. This was not that this was a couple of years after, and he was much younger than me, and he destroyed the shoes, and my aunt literally threw them away.
Oh my gosh. I gave my nephew my Legend Blue 11s.
Ugh.
And he also destroyed them. I told him that if he got like A's and B's on his college transcript or whatever, that I would give him my Legend Blue 11s, and he cooked them.
Ugh.
And I wish I still had them. So
you gotta think too, right? Like I was what Space Jam came out in 95?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like 8 or 9 years old. Like that was like everything,
Yeah. Flex wasn't even born yet.
Do you think you're insulting me? Because I actually was born by then, but
well, it's interesting because it's no. See, we're all.
I was gonna let him dig that grave himself. I was like, go ahead, keep on talking.
With that being said, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I brought a pair of Sauconys. This is actually a kind of a space themed sneaker as well. This is the feature collab, which I would love to see more Saucony and feature Las Vegas collabs. That's just let Jason know I said that, and feature. But this is I believe not the last one they did, because they did that chocolate chip pair. But
didn't they have a sick box with this one?
They did.
How do you start with a shoe and not the box? Crazy.
because I keep it up here. So hold on, I gotta navigate these lights and stuff. But it also had
in our archives. I saw it in our archives. Yeah.
Oh yeah, pull out box, and then the paper.
Oh,
see the paper right here.
Yeah.
The paper is crazy. They had the plastic. I know it had the plastic insert like that covers it, but it's like over here and I can't reach it. But this is the Shadow 5000 Dreamland. It was supposed to be inspired by Area 51? Is that what it's called? The space, the aliens or whatever?
I think 72.
No, fool.
I just wanted Morgan to be like, yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, 72.
You're not gonna catch me. So, Area 51 is inspired by Area 51, of course. Nevada, landmark feature Las Vegas. There's a lot of things that have to do with Nevada and Las Vegas. But this is the pair that I brought. This is a pair I actually bought. They released during a tennis match a few years ago, and I had to cop real quick. So, yeah, this is what I brought today.
I love it.
Come on.
So,
Jennifer, what'd you bring?
She brought out the West Side Gun sample pair. Let's go.
No comment. Oh, one pair I did want to say that I wear often is, again, shout out Josh, because these Crystal Caves, these are not the pair I brought, but I just couldn't let it go. Like, if y'all didn't get these, like, even Kith got a special re-release for these, and that, like, never happens. Josh cooked on these so hard.
He was in a flow state. He had to have been like...
That release
these are half size too big, and I still wear them.
Yeah. Like, he was definitely... He was in a flow state. He was in a state of nirvana. He was like...
Yeah, these are nice.
I already tell. He was in the zone when he made those.
Pair? Oh, I'm not getting up.
Okay, what do you guys think I brought?
The new J Tips.
Jazz 9 J Tips. Let's go.
I brought the first pair. Why I brought the first pair is because this is the only pair I have ever bought off of StockX.
Really?
From StockX?
I bought it off StockX.
They didn't let you get an early access, or
so remember, I came into the picture after this was already happening. So I was helping Jason gather recap stuff for this launch, and the whole time, obviously because this is the first shoe, things got seeded, everything got done, this, that, and the other thing. I was new to them. I had so much FOMO that I was like, damn, I really need these shoes. I will spend the money. And I saved up some money, and I was like, I am buying these shoes. And I've never, ever in my life purchased anything off of StockX. And I was like, yeah, I need these. And these are my tried and true, my favorite. They're already getting cooked, but because I love these shoes so much. It was the most unique personality. How do you think all this could work? But it just does. And
it does.
Your outfit looks sick. So fun. Just I think it was his signature pink and blue accents. The Matrix, he had a friends and family version of that, the pink and blue. That's the only shoe that I do not have out of all of the J-Tips.
Pink and blue pair. We got the pink and blue pair, Flex.
You got the pink and blue pair?
Yeah. The one that came out just on his website. Yeah.
So okay. That shoe was obviously a nod to, a little nod to this one, his first one. So he remembers in the, the Remember Who Fronted, he even lives in dreams by that for himself too. He pays homage and respect back to the beginning. But this Grid Azure 2000 just really set the tone for me. And this was my first Saucony shoe, I believe. This was my first one, because prior to that, I would just wear, probably like my Vans to work or something I shouldn't have. But
Yeah.
I was working for Wolverine at the time. I don't know. Like, I just, again, like, never thought that I would wear a shoe like this, but
Yeah.
the personality of it, and
works.
then the whole tying it in, the messaging behind it, learning and meeting J-Tips and just understanding more about it, I started salivating and I was like, I need this shoe. So
Yeah.
you will be my first. So that is my baby. I wear it from time to time. I try not to overwear it because I want this shoe to last. But
Yeah.
this is where it all began. And, I think it's so fun. All his boxes have, his little signature, like,
Yeah.
stuff on it here. But again, I remember who fronted. I remember who did not see the vision. I remember who changed the conversation. Like, so that is the authenticity of J-Tips and the authenticity of the relationship that Saucony has with him. But also,
Yeah.
just Saucony being able to go in a space and try new things. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to give a nod out to what they did on the butterfly for Tom Bogo, that collaboration.
Yeah.
Like, just trying to be innovative. You should see the people in the product side and what they do. But
Yeah.
again, like, if you guys do not know who Saucony is, or I just recently saw a video where a girl says Saucony, which I was like,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
We
All
get
right.
fancy with the
Saucony.
pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said, who is Saucony and do I need these? Like, in the video, and it was class.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I'm hearing more people. When I first got on TikTok, I was told all the time I was saying it wrong when I said Saucony.
I used to say Saucony when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying I'm saying it wrong anymore. Nobody's telling me that I'm saying it wrong. Everybody's saying Saucony.
Yeah.
Because it went from Saucony to, I don't know how you pronounce it, Saucony, I don't know, to now everybody's saying Saucony, except for that one girl who said
Well,
Saucony.
it's funny because some of the retail stores, like, employees are still trying to, it's a weird phonetics, like, and we kind of play off of that now. Like,
Yeah.
some of our boxes will literally say
Like, sock.
Saucony.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just understanding you got to lean in with it and know
Yeah.
that it's okay. Like, at least people are trying to figure it out and they're
Yeah.
aware of your brand. So I think my company does a really great job at, like, just, playing banter with it. DTLR did those 2-episode videos last year that featured Rob 49 and going into a DTLR store. And he was like telling the employee, like, they were saying it wrong and he was correcting them. And it was kind of funny. So
Yeah. So do you have, obviously we're not going to ask about the West Side Gun shoe, even though we saw you in the video, right? That's, let me go back. It is always fun on Instagram to see like the video, like a J-Tips video or like a West Side Gun video on Saucony. And then just kind of like, oh, there's Jennifer right there.
Pointing at the shoe and the materials.
Just doing her thing. Yeah. Like there goes Jennifer right there. That's really, really fun. Do you think that's fun?
Again, like I had said to the guys, I think before we started this, like, I'm somebody who likes to be behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I always felt weird about, like, even being in front of the camera until I just kind of did a little bit of influencer work a few years ago. So I was just trying to kind of psychologically test it out. It was for a brand parade that I would do, like, influencer work with, and I would take my own photos and do the promotion. And it was a little side hustle, it was cool. But it actually helps me now understand from an influencer's point of view, and also advocating for influencers and respecting their time and space and creativity. So
Yeah.
I am somebody who kind of prefers to be behind the scenes. I love the logistics. I love the whole mayhem behind doing everything, like from, strategy of the campaign to the seating to the product to, having these marketing conversations. So it's always weird to be like that picture, they kind of, everybody was like, yo, come in, like, like people, they were just
I know how people are, man.
So it's just kind of like recognition. So it's just kind of like recognition of just like, yo, everybody's in the office. But yeah, it's kind of fun to like document those moments too. Just be like, oh, that was a great experience. But Jason is somebody who's taught me a lot about building the relationships with the collaborators too. So I definitely like have the utmost respect for a lot of our collaborators and, appreciate their time. And when they come in the office or if we're on a Zoom call with them and then they're, how can I best support their project? And if I'm there at Complex Con or if I'm, at an activation with them, trying to take some photos and then working hard to recap so that we can communicate internally to our team the success of what happened. So yeah, to answer your question, like it's cool, but it's not something that like I'm like, yeah, I want that.
Can't wait. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jennifer, we really appreciate you hopping on here with us and having this be your first podcast. If you never want to do another one, you are a natural. If you never want to do anybody else's podcast and just keep doing ours,
I like that idea.
You will love
I like that idea.
I already got another request.
Are you
I already know.
Haas. Bro. I know it was
Has
Haas.
to be.
It was Haas, wasn't it?
No comment.
Next time you're in New York.
Bro, he is a bro. That man is a
Look, I want
It's by my motto.
See, look,
He lives by my motto, though. Never hurt to ask.
Yeah, he definitely does. He will ask. If he's gonna do something, he's gonna ask.
The craziest thing about it, I literally no lie. I don't know how it happens, but it seems like we always have the same guests like back to back. And like I know who his next guest is, and it's literally like I was talking to his next guest about being on the show, and I'm just like, now we gotta put it out. It's gotta be like 8 months later because I don't want to get smashed up together.
I think the Foot Patrol, because we didn't even talk about the Foot Patrols.
Oh, you guys talked about those with KJ. That's why
we did.
I gave it space. I gave it space. I got those. I love them.
Yeah, those
we shouted you out, right? Whenever. Okay, I gotta tell you to your face, like when we get those messages from you, makes our day. Makes our day for sure.
Those are the only ones Morgan read. Those are the only messages Morgan read.
I will make sure that I'm like at Morgan. Did you see this?
Yeah. It's when the ones that say, "Hey boys."
By the way,
if it says I put you on, then I'm like, "Hey, what's this? What's this say? What's this say?"
I do have to say one thing is that like really we are super intentional. Not everybody gets everything, and KJ expressed that like really like nicely. Like I try to make it where it's certain individuals where I feel like they like it accentuates who they are and like it feels on brand to them. Because if we just sent the same like every single thing to the same, mine is Jay Tips. He's the exception because he just loves everything that we do. So like, Jay is like always somebody that we sending our stuff to because he shows so much love for all his fellow collaborators. But
he had on the Foot Patrols recently. I saw him. He had the Foot Patrols on. Yeah,
he did, and he like wears them proudly. I think he was wearing it on that Billboard hip hop content. Like,
I think so.
He was talking about the Grid Jazz 9. But we are very intentional, and we try to make sure that we are having a lot of different people exposed to the brand. Again, like you guys, we love you. You guys show us so much love, and you guys genuinely are fans of the brand. And that is something that, we try to find spaces where it makes sense. And and it feels intentional. Like I said, that's the key word here. It's not frivolous. It's not like just for the sake. And we're not people who are like, trying to jump on somebody's bandwagon because they have a lot of, followers or whatnot. No, like if it's something that we feel like could help, accentuate your style, sure, we're going to do it. But I will tell you, your video went all over the place in our office because we couldn't stop laughing at it, Morgan. The one with the dirty dancing.
I do one for every new J Tips sneaker.
Have you did one for the Jazz already?
I did.
How did I miss that? I gotta go see that.
Yeah. It's on Instagram. It's on Instagram.
That thing, we were laughing for days. But
really,
again, like Yeah, so we appreciate everything that you guys do and how you guys
Thank
show
you.
love, and I appreciate all your kind words and inviting me onto the podcast and letting
Of
me
course.
talk all craziness about my life experiences and my relationships with sneakers in the space,
Yeah.
and just being a woman in the space too. Thank you so much for giving me the time and the platform, and I look forward to when we can maybe connect in person one day or our next conversation. But
Yeah.
Gotta get
have a
Morgan.
supporter in me.
We're going on tour. Morgan doesn't know yet, but
All right.
we're going on tour. We got a couple live podcasts set up.
Boston.
Hey, look,
Yeah,
I could
Let's
go
make
to
it
Boston.
happen. Let's make it happen.
it's gonna
I
happen.
can go to
It's
Boston.
gonna happen. It's gonna happen this year too.
I feel like, and whenever we do anything big, I feel like Saucony has to be involved because we've talked about.
Mhm.
I mean, we've talked to all of you guys, right?
Yep.
We've talked to Josh. I'm sure there are people in the office who we haven't talked to, but
You gotta come meet them. You guys
That's
gotta
Yeah.
come
for
in
the
and
live
come meet
podcast.
them.
You just have. Hop on the
I'm trying to see if I'm taller than Jason. To be honest with you, that's just something that's been in the back of my mind.
Jason
I wanna
is
see if
pretty tall.
Is he really?
What's they gotta do with anything? What the-
Doesn't have anything to do with anything.
How tall-
I just want to see if I'm taller than
How
him.
tall is Jason?
How tall is Jason?
I don't know. He's
I
taller
mean,
than me.
I don't know what.
I'm 5'10". I'm 5'10",
Are you?
so
You're
I
not
don't know.
5'10".
I'm bad at math.
it's okay.
You're not 5'10".
You're 5'10" too.
You're not 5'10".
Flex 5'6".
Yeah, I'm 5'6". But you're not 5'10". I know that for a fact.
I'm 5'4".
You said I'm not 5'10".
You're not 5'10".
You've never seen me in
But
person.
you've told me how tall you are, Morgan. You don't pay attention to nothing, bro. And you was not 5'10".
I'm 5'10".
You're not 5'10".
Can you
That's what the
imagine
Navy
that?
said.
Y'all have never met in person?
No, we have.
We've never met each other.
This
It's gonna
is
be.
the
It's gonna be like
internet and
the
sneakers
meme.
bringing people together.
It's gonna be like the meme when we meet each other. We're gonna be like all quiet, like, "What's up, dude?
Yeah.
My name is."
Hey,
I
man.
need somebody to video this. From
I feel
both
like I would
perspectives.
introduce myself. I was like, "Hey, I'm Morgan. Nice to meet you."
I'm gonna be like, "Bro, chill." But Jennifer, thanks for hopping on, taking time out of your day to hop on with the Soul Brothers podcast. Again, we appreciate, enjoy talking with you. I know you mentioned KJ episode being 2 hours. Yours is now 2 hours and 20 minutes. So you beat that.
I'm sorry to the entire universe that listens to this.
Hey, them,
Nah, it's all
you
right.
finna
And we
shoot
don't have
them.
to cut out any.
You finna shoot them watch hours up on YouTube, so it's all right. We're almost at 3,000, so that's all right.
Also, if
our
you're not
threshold.
liking, subscribing, following,
Boom.
what are you doing? Get
Yeah,
on that
what are
for
you
the Soul
doing?
Brothers Pod.
What are you doing?
We need
What are you
Jennifer.
doing?
We have an ask for you. I would like to see our podcast, your episode specifically, being projected in the Saucony office. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got a TV, or you know what I
Okay.
mean? Just
Okay.
yeah,
It's
like it.
done.
we need to see it.
As long as
when
it's
they
not
see-
you,
all you can
I
do-
can't listen to myself.
Yes.
Just kidding.
I don't know why. Like, the heavy Boston accent isn't there. It's like a little sprinkling of it. It's refreshing. It's not like I'm
It's like
fully
listening to
watching.
yourself on a voice message. Sounds terrible.
Imagine how
Like,
I think I've
feel
got a nice
editing the
voice.
episode.
I feel like I've got a nice voice. I like hearing myself. I feel like it's the perfect.
oh, I love
More
the
little-
confidence. I need
I
this.
hate your voice. I hate it.
Really?
I hate it.
So
like-
we did get some feedback. We got some feedback, bro.
So I don't when I edit
KJ's
the episode, I don't edit with headphones because of your voice. But you're still my dog though.
in KJ's episode. My homies said that my mouth sounded wet. I think it's because I was sick.
And as we always
You
say,
heard it?
love, peace, and sneakers.
Soul Brothers. Yeah. Soul Brothers. Retro 7, retro 3s, metallic 7, retro 11, sitting on freeze. They got soul.